Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 2nd of December 2023. In today's newspaper analysis, we are going to cover some mapping topics and then we are going to cover the important articles from the newspaper. We have selected the most important articles for discussion today. So let us discuss the list of articles that are important from the newspaper. So these are the list of articles that we are going to cover in today's newspaper analysis. Alright, so let us see the first topic, which is going to be a mapping topic. We started taking a mapping topic every day because it's going to help you to qualify the prelims exam. UPSC has started asking multiple mapping related topics, right? So that's why it is important that you understand various let's say issues that concerns the geography and mapping section. So let us discuss the first topic for the day. Name of the topic is ASEAN. Okay, so the topic that we are going to discuss, its name is ASEAN. So ASEAN member countries we are going to locate today. ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations, right? So it's a grouping of 10 countries that are part of Southeast Asia. So let us discuss about those countries, name of those countries that are members of ASEAN. So the first country that is member of ASEAN is Myanmar over here, right? Myanmar. So this is the map of Myanmar, the dark color that we see over here, chocolatey color, dark. So this is Myanmar. Apart from this, we have Thailand, which is the second member over here. Then we have, let's say, Cambodia, third member, Vietnam, fourth member, Laos, fifth member. Okay, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos. Okay, so these are 5 countries over here. In all, it has 10 member countries. The sixth country is Malaysia. So this is, let's say, one portion of Malaysia, this is other portion of Malaysia. Malaysia is divided into 2 different islands. These islands are, let's say, located far away from one another. Then we have Singapore as a country. Singapore is a very small country, right? And it is, let's say, one of the most developed among these countries, right? Among ASEAN countries. So this is where Singapore is located. This is the 7th country. Then we have Indonesia. All the blue colored, dark blue colored regions that you can see over here, they are part of Indonesia. Okay, Indonesia, like that. Then this is Brunei, is the 9th country, very small country in this region, right? So this is Brunei. Then 10th is Philippines. Philippines is the 10th country, the green colored country that you can see. So this country is divided into various islands. These islands are together known as archipelago. Okay, so Philippines is a country. So these are 10 member countries of ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So we have also included another map. This map will help you to understand where is these countries located, where are these countries located. So this is where the location of these countries are. To the west of it, we have India, right? India, as we know. And this is the entire world map. Okay, this is entire world map. This is where ASEAN countries are located. Okay, this is where ASEAN countries are located. So with this, let us quickly look to the first topic of the day, right, from the newspaper. This article is really important. This article is from Environment and Ecology. Okay, so this is from Environment and Ecology section. It's important for the prelims exam, and from this topic you can gather some information that you can use in the mains exam in GS paper 3, right? You can use in GS paper 3 under Environment and Ecology section, right? So this article is going to be important. Let us discuss about what is this article all about. All right, so let's start the discussion. So name of the topic that we are going to discuss is, this topic says India offers to host 2028 climate meet. India offers to host 2028 climate meet. So basically what is happening now, there is a conference of parties, okay, COP28 is happening. COP28 is the 28th meeting of the conference of parties. So this conference of parties is related to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. In short, we know it as UNFCCC. So generally every year the UNFCCC conducts what? A conference of party. So the main agenda of the conference of parties is to mitigate the climate risk, is to mitigate the climate change. Like, you know, they talk about how different communities around the world, right, different species can adapt to the changing climate. What actions can be taken by different countries so that global warming can be reduced, so that the pollution that is there, that can be mitigated, that can be reduced, okay? So the 28th Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is being held in Dubai, right? Dubai is located in United Arab Emirates. So the Prime Minister of India has visited over there. The Prime Minister of India has talked about what India wants to do related to climate, let's say, like, you know, climate mitigation strategies. Although India did not talk about a new measure that can, let's say, like, you know, go for reducing the global warming, but we have discussed that, like, you know, we are also interested, right, to conduct the climate summit, the conference of parties that's going to happen in 2028, right? This is 2023. After 5 years, India plans to host the Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. India has last held this particular conference, right? India has earlier held this particular conference, right? The UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, right? Its conference of party was held in India in the year of 2002. Now in 2028 we want to hold another conference of party. So the thing is, after 26 years India plans to host it, but this has to be approved, this has to be agreed upon by the existing member countries of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, right? So only then India will be able to host the 28th Conference of Parties. As of now, India has proposed that we want to host it. Apart from this, the Prime Minister of India has talked about a very important initiative that India has launched. This is known as Green Credit Initiative. What? This is known as Green Credit Initiative. So what is this Green Credit Initiative? Basically, it is said that it is a non-commercial, right, effort to create a carbon sink. This is a non-commercial effort to create a carbon sink, okay, to create a carbon sink. What do we mean by carbon sink? It is important. And why we only talk about carbon, right? Basically, when we talk about the earth has an envelope of atmosphere, okay, it has an envelope of atmosphere, and this atmosphere is getting warmed, okay, it is getting warmed. So this is known as global warming. This is known as global warming. Global warming is happening because of increase of concentration of some greenhouse gases. Which gases? Greenhouse gases, okay. In short, it is known as GHG. So in the atmosphere, the concentration of greenhouse gases is increasing, right? And because of increase in the concentration of greenhouse gas, the global warming is increasing. One of the most potent gas that has the potential of increasing the global warming is carbon dioxide, okay? One of the gases, carbon dioxide. Even carbon monoxide comes in this category. Apart from this, from the refrigerator, right, we release chlorofluorocarbons. In short, it is known as CFCs. They also contribute to the global warming. But what is happening? The concentration of carbon dioxide is continuously increasing in the atmosphere, right? So what we need to do, if we want to, let's say, mitigate the global warming, if we want to reduce the increasing global warming, so we need to, let's say, reduce the concentration of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. and that effort is known as carbon sink. Carbon sink means what you do from the atmosphere, you capture carbon and you store it somewhere, let's say underground, right? You store it somewhere. So the thing is, the effective amount of carbon that is available in the atmosphere, that reduces, okay? So the effective amount of carbon that is there in the atmosphere, that reduces. So this is what precisely India plans to do. India plans to increase the let's say quantity or amount of carbon sink through this green credit initiative. So recently the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So in India we have a ministry which is known as Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MOFCC. So they have released a paper, right, detailing what is green credit initiative, right? What is green credit initiative? So its details are mentioned, its details are available on the website of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. You can read about the green credit initiative. So like, they are going to make it, let's say like, something which can be traded in the market, right? Something that can be traded in the market in the form of certificate. So it's kind of green credit initiative. So the thing is, it will help or incentivize those industries, those organizations, those NGOs, those government institutions that are going to take steps, right? So that their newer steps are against global warming, so that their newer steps help the country in mitigating the global warming, okay? That can help in carbon sink, okay? So it plans to mobilize the resources, mobilize the money towards environmentally friendly activities, all right? So this is the thing. So over here, the Prime Minister of India has talked to different countries, that those countries, the developed countries, right? Generally, the developed countries are the ones that are more responsible for polluting the environment, that are more responsible for global warming, because these countries have contributed to the global warming to a great extent during their phase of development. So these countries have been emitting huge amount of, let's say like, they have been emitting huge amount of carbon dioxide, they have been emitting huge amount of greenhouse gases. This is the thing, okay? So this article is really, really good. This article talks about what should be the responsibilities of the developed countries, right? So in this article, basically, two separate pages are there. One page was there in page number 1, other was in page number 2. So in page number 8. In page number 8, they have talked about the global green credit scheme. Reference to Friday's aspect means like what it is going to do. So its details are mentioned, okay? So the Prime Minister of India has stressed that those developed countries that had earlier committed that we are going to mobilize $100 billion of fund, right? So these countries have actually not done so. These countries, failed to mobilize $100 billion of fund. So that's why the government of India wants to host the COP that's going to happen in 2028 in India, and we have, let's say, fostered the green credit scheme, okay? We have talked about the green credit scheme. And apart from this, the Prime Minister of India said new collective quantified goal, right? So the thing is, the countries should take new collective quantified goal. And these developed countries have pledged that they are going to mobilize $100 billion to Green Climate Fund. However, that has not happened, okay? Why the developed countries are going to mobilize $100 billion, okay, to something which is known as Green Climate Fund? It is because the developed countries are historically responsible for the, right, historically responsible for emitting the greenhouse gases, okay? They are responsible for emitting greenhouse gases, GHGs, okay? So that's why these countries have thought that they are going to mobilize $100 billion, okay, $100 billion, and these funds will be used by which countries? The developing countries. However, the Prime Minister of India has said, like, only some $800 million, I think, have been mobilized, and the proposal was to mobilize $100 billion. So the thing is, it is totally, let's say, not committing. I mean, like, the developed countries have committed, but they have not met, they have not kept their word so far. This is the thing. So with this, we came to another article. This article is again related to the previous article itself. Okay, in this article it says, United Arab Emirates announces $30 billion fund to boost climate investment. Okay, $30 billion fund. As we know, United Arab Emirates is a very small nation. I mean, like, it's a very small country. Under this, there are many regions, for example, Fujairah, Dubai, and many other regions. So even being so a small country, United Arab Emirates, they have decided to mobilize $100 billion of fund to boost climate investment. This is a very, let's say, good initiative, right, on the part of the United Arab Emirates, right, on the part of UAE. So good afternoon, thank you so much for joining. So it's Vanraj. All right, so this is the thing. So in this article we are going to talk about one important thing, that in the Conference of Parties 2028, right, the Conference of Parties 28 that is happening right over here. So this is article number 2, topic number 2. Name of the topic is UAE announced 30 billion fund. Okay, UAE announces $30 billion, okay, $30 billion fund, right, $30 billion fund to boost climate investment, to boost climate investment. So the United Arab Emirates, being so small country which is hosting the Conference of Parties 28 to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is UNFCCC, it has committed, right, it has committed, which is being held in Dubai, right, UAE. It has committed to mobilize, right, it has committed to mobilize $30 billion, right, towards climate investment, right, towards climate investment. This is a good proposal that they have said. However, in this article, right, the authors have talked about a very important thing. What is that important thing? It is creation of, right, creation of loss and damage fund. Okay, creation of loss and damage fund. So we need to understand what do we mean by loss and damage fund, right? So this, in COP 27, all the member countries of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change have, let's say, proposed the idea of creation of a loss and damage fund. And in this COP 28, these countries have agreed that our loss and damage fund will be created. What will be the purpose of this fund and what is the nature of this fund? Basically, this fund will be initially managed by World Bank. Okay, it will be managed by World Bank for the initial 4 years, right? Initially for 4 years is going to manage this fund. So in this particular fund there will be contributions, from various countries, right, from the members of UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and especially most of the contribution will come from the developed countries. Okay, so what will be the purpose of this loss and damage fund? This loss and damage fund will have huge amount of money, and the thing is, this loss and damage fund, its money will be utilized, right, towards developing those regions in the world that are, let's say, that are damaged due to climate induced hazards. For example, there are many problems that happens because of climate induced hazards. Some countries experience more number of floods, some countries experience more number of hurricanes, some countries experience more number of, let's say, like, other climate induced problems. So this fund will be utilized to rebuild those infrastructures, and this fund will be utilized for, let's say, meeting the developmental requirement of the developing countries, so that these countries can adopt, right, such kind of technologies that can help in mitigating the overall climate risk. So this loss and damage fund is going to be used for multiple purposes. However, initially these countries have taken pledge that they are going to fund their money into the loss and damage fund, and initially it was agreed that World Bank is going to manage this fund for 4 years initially. Okay, this is a good thing that has happened in this regard. And apart from this, in this article, so this article was, let me quickly see in which page number it was, there in page number 9. So I'll quickly see this article also. Okay, so this is the thing. This loss and damage fund is going to be very beneficial, and here they have named this thing. It is known as Altera. So 30 billion commitment was made by UAE, and they have named it as Altera. Okay, and they will use $30 billion for investment in climate friendly projects. Okay, this is the thing. So in your free time, you can read this article to understand little more on, let's say, how this fund will be utilized and all. So they have talked about they are going to create wind power, they are going to use it for, let's say, energy purposes that are going to be for climate friendly. With this, we came to another article. This is next article, article number 3. So this article says improving the capability of the Indian state, right? Improving the capability of the Indian state. So this article is written by a person, let's say, who heads Delhi School of Economics and Delhi School of Public Policy and Governance. So this article is essentially about improving the status of Indian economy or state of Indian economy and improving the structure of governance. This article is important, right, for GS paper 2 as well as for GS paper 3. So we are going to discuss about this topic quickly. Name of the topic, this is topic number 3. We are going to understand, and remember that after this discussion we are also going to upload the handwritten notes in the description, so that you can refer to these handwritten notes and you can create it as notes of current affairs for your purposes. Okay, improving the capability of the Indian state, we are going to discuss about this article. Improving the capability of the Indian state. So let's discuss about it. Here in this article, the author says that India, right, is going through a state of paradox, right? It is going through a state of paradoxical nature. What is this paradoxical nature? On one side, India is too big. On the other side, India is too small. So there are different parameters on which India is too big and India is too small. So when we talk about too big, so we are talking about India. Sorry, we are talking about India's GDP, right? We are talking about India's GDP. So when we compare India's GDP with other countries in the world, India is the 5th largest economy in the world. It is the 5th largest economy in the world. Right? It is the 5th largest economy. What is the second thing about India? Second thing about India is that India has the highest population in the world, right? It has what? We have highest population in the world. This is the largest democracy in the world also. And why India is too small? It is because of certain features, right, in India, why it is too small. So to address this issue, the author has talked about that in India there are many issues. What are those issues? One of the thing is like the tax to GDP ratio. What? Tax to GDP ratio, right? Tax to GDP ratio in India, right? Tax to GDP ratio in India is very small. Is very small. The second issue is that a second problem with India is they have talked about another ratio, right? One is tax to GDP ratio. So the other ratio that they have discussed in this article, just a minute. So I'll discuss about it, right? Let's say one part is tax to GDP ratio, second part is public expenditure, right? Public expenditure to GDP ratio, okay? Public expenditure to GDP ratio in India is also very small. Why these parameters are small? Because of many problems. One thing that in India, because we have a highest number of population in India, let's say like people to judges ratio, means number of people per judge, right? Like judge to people ratio would be very small. Number of judges are very less as compared to the number of people that they have to serve. Number of civil servants is very less as compared to the, let's say like as compared to the number of population that they serve. And in India, in this article, the author has talked about the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI. In India, SEBI has very less number of people as compared to the, let's say like market regulator in USA. Similarly, in India, the Reserve Bank of India has around 7,000 personnel as compared to 22,000 personnel in USA. So the thing is like, the manpower, the people who are working in these organizations, the people are less. People are less in number, right? People means the personals, right, who are working in these organizations, they are less. So the thing is, effectively, most of the important institutions in India, they are manned by very less number of personals. So like, the issue of governance arises from here. The issue in governance. What kind of issue? Because there are less number of people who are going to serve a huge population. Because of this, the quality of services that they are providing, the quality of services is deteriorating, right? It is regularly, gradually going down. This is the thing. This is what is happening in India. All right. This is the problem. So author says that like at the same time India is too big, but India is too small because of these things. The public expenditure to GDP ratio is very small. Tax to GDP ratio is very small. So it skews, right, the government's let's say like like willingness or government's capacity to spend on public goods, okay? And also in this article, author says that there is technocratic gap in India, okay? We are going to discuss. Author says another problem is there. This is technocratic gap in India. What kind of technocratic gap is there in India? We are going to discuss about it. On one side, author says that like India has public servants who are highly paid, right? And once they are into the service, they have very less incentive to, let's say like do more over there. So because of their job security, because of their high paid structure, they feel relatively stable in their jobs. But at the same time, these people are doing relatively less. They are working very less, let's say like once they are into the services. This is what the author says. And author says that like, there are many domains with the government of India where like, people or like public personals are less skilled. Okay, public personals are less skilled to work on certain important issues. An author gives an example also. The government of India has spent around 500 crore rupees last year itself, right? 500 crore rupees last year itself over, let's say, in getting consultation services from the companies like Price Waterhouse Coopers. In short, it is known as PwC. Apart from this, Deloitte, Ernst, Deloitte, EY. Then we have some other companies, right? So McKinsey and KPMG, okay, KPMG and McKinsey, like that. So from these companies, the government is getting some kind of consultation services. Government is spending a huge amount of money just for consulting, let's say, these big consulting firms in the world, right? So what India needs to do? India needs to make it sure that it increases the strength of the people who are working in certain skilled institutions. There should be, let's say, they should allow people from other domains, for example, Indian Revenue Services, Indian Statistical Services, Indian Economic Services, to work on certain parameters that's going to assist India, right? That's going to assist India in reducing its expenditure on these areas. And otherwise, Alright, so what government is doing, if we talk about public versus private, right? If we talk about public versus private, this is important, right? Public versus private means in public institutions, there are few people who are at the top level functionaries. But at the same time, public institutions are not doing the work that is needed. In private organizations, there are, let's say, incentives to work. These incentives actually motivate the people in the private sector, okay? They motivate the people in the private sector. However, in the public sector, the similar motivations do not work. This is important, all right? So in this article, author simply says that perverse incentives created by public institutions and a skill gap among officials have eroded the ability to form and implement sound policies in India. So that's why the government of India needs to do something related to restructuring the way that it is doing the things, right? It needs to have more people, right, in government jobs, and at the same time there should be cross functionalities among different domains, different, let's say, departments. So with this, let us quickly move to another article. This article says the process of Myanmar's actual unification has begun. So this article is related to Myanmar. As we know, in Myanmar there was a military coup, right? Military coup means, like, in Myanmar the military has toppled the democratically elected government. Not only they have toppled, they have also captured those leaders of political parties. They have put them into prison initially, but later on they have, let's say, put them into house arrest. And whosoever protested in Myanmar, those, the military has come down heavily upon them. They have used military power. They have killed their own people. And this has led to a widespread, let's say, tension in the Myanmari society. And there seems to be a civil war going on in Myanmar, civil war to, let's say, capture power in Myanmar. So in this article, the author has discussed about Myanmar's Spring Revolution. What the author has discussed? Author has discussed about Myanmar's Spring Revolution. What do we mean by Myanmar's Spring Revolution? Basically, here many opposition member parties, they have come together, right? Civil society organizations have come together and they have created a front to confront the military-led government, right? So there are many areas where military-led government has had a backlash, right? So in this article, they have discussed about the Federal Democracy Charter that declared on March 31, 2021 by the committee representing this P. Dangsu, Hulota, okay, CRPH it is known as, thereby leading to the formation of National Unity Government. And this National Unity Government is an association of various opposition member, opposition parties, the civil society organizations, the parties that demand democracy in Myanmar. But the thing is, even the charter that they have signed, which is Federal Democracy Charter, this charter talks about it carves a political guideline, okay, it carves a political guideline over there. So in this article they discuss about NUG formation is a political feat. What they say, that National Unity Government formation is itself a political feat, means there in Myanmar the military is, let's say, trying to capture more power using muscle power, using their military men, using army personals, but at the same time the creation of the National Unity Government that represents civil society organization, that represents people from different political factions, is our strength, is a point in strength. So that's why the author says the process of actual unification of Myanmar has begun. Why it has begun? Because this person, he has done a deeper study in Myanmar, what problem is happening, right? To understand this, so they have, let's say, referred to some kind of revolution that has happened. One of the revolution is named as 4x8 revolution. Another revolution is named as 1027 revolution, okay? So Operation 1027 is creating a new political template for Myanmar's future, like that. So basically it is related to Myanmar. Why it is important for us to understand Myanmar? Because Myanmar is a neighboring country of India. So India has a locust policy, actist policy, wherein we want to assist the nearby countries for, let's say, their developmental aspect, right? But the thing is, we don't want to interfere into their internal affairs, because let's say, India also follows Panchsheel policy that says no interference in the internal affairs of a country. That's the thing. So let's discuss about this topic. So it says over here, let's say this is a map. This map showcases where is Myanmar located. This is the location of Myanmar, and in the initial portion of mapping discussion today we have discussed about ASEAN countries, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. ASEAN has 10 member countries who are part of it, okay? So this Myanmar over here, it is important for us to understand that Myanmar is a member of ASEAN, and this is where Myanmar is located. It is, let's say, it shares its border with India, it shares its border with China, it shares its border with Laos, it shares its border with Thailand also. So and then it shares its border with Bangladesh as well, okay? Bangladesh is another country. So India, China, Laos, Thailand, Bangladesh. These are the 5 countries with which Myanmar shares its land borders. Okay, so this is the thing. So with this, let us now move to another article. We are going to discuss this article quickly. Finding funds, loss and damage fund is finally online, but more needs to be done. Although we discussed about this article, in the discussion, previous articles discussion, let us quickly have an introduction to it again. So the Conference of Parties 28 is being held in Dubai. This conference is related to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. But in Conference of Parties 27, there was a demand, right, of different countries. They came together that there should be a loss and damage fund, right? So in this article, they say that loss and damage fund has been created by the UNFCCC, and this loss and damage fund came, right, online. It came into being. So the thing is, this loss and damage fund has been operationalized, and it will be taken care of by the World Bank initially, okay? So the thing is, loss and damage fund has been created, right? And this will be taken care of by the World Bank. I'm just writing WB, World Bank. And there have been multiple committees. These are known as transitional committee. There have been 4 discussions on transitional committee, and these discussions focused on creation of a loss and damage fund. So this loss and damage fund, initially there are few countries who have pledged that they are going to fund their money. So which countries are going to pledge? All those countries that are member of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So as part of this, right, 10 million will come from Japan, 100 million each by Germany and United Arab Emirates. So the thing is, these countries are going to provide their funding to the loss and damage fund, and this fund will be utilized whenever some damage or loss happens because of climate induced phenomena. Okay, so this loss and damage fund can act as a sort of insurance for those countries that are highly vulnerable to climate induced problems. And as we know, global warming is increasing, climate change has happened, because of which the sea level is rising. The island nations are most susceptible to, let's say, increase in sea level, because if sea level increases beyond a certain level, so these island countries may get submerged also. So that's why this loss and damage fund will be beneficial. And so the thing is, in this article they have talked about a report that will be submitted as part of the Paris Agreement. So that is known as Global Stocktake Report. So as of now, Global Stocktake Report, this report has not been tabled. So once it will be tabled, so there will be discussion on it also. Maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, it may come. Again, this is a new topic. This topic is related to international relations, IR. This topic is very important. Why? Because the Prime Minister of India has met with the President of Israel. In Israel also there is a President, there is a Prime Minister. Generally, Prime Minister is the de facto ruler, President is de jure ruler, the way, like, you know, it is in India. So, Prime Minister of India has met with the President of Israel, and Prime Minister of India has highlighted that India also is in support of a two-state solution. Two states wherein the Palestine can live side by side Israel. Okay, so here we have included a map to showcase this. Let us first have a look at the map so that we understand about this issue. So the yellow shaded region over here, this yellow shaded region is the map of present day Israel, and the other regions that we can see over here, the pink colored, this is Gaza Strip, the western portion, and the eastern portion, it is West Bank. Okay, it is West Bank. The western portion is Gaza Strip. So in Gaza Strip, Palestinian people reside, but from Gaza Strip there was an attack on Israel. Okay, there was an attack on Israel, and this attack was conducted by a group, it is known as Hamas. Okay, it is known as Hamas. The meaning of Hamas is Islamic resistance movement. They want to create a unified Palestinian state, the way that it was there long back, 100 years back and all. But the present day Israel, they have, let's say, expanded their area, geographical territory. After expanding their geographical territory, they have, let's say, created a big state of Israel, right? So now what Israel is doing, Israel is, let's say, like, you know, using its right of defense, and they have launched a counter attack on Hamas. What they have done? They have launched a counter attack on Hamas, and because of which, let's say, like, you know, they have bombed in the northern Gaza, and now they are ready to bomb in the southern Gaza also. And this has led to killing of huge number of civilians. Most of them are children and women. Okay, most of them are children and women. Now let us understand that if we talk about Israel, right, so which countries share border with Israel? Israel does have a maritime boundary also. So Israel shares maritime boundary with Mediterranean Sea. It is surrounded by Egypt, it is surrounded by Jordan, it is surrounded by Syria, it is surrounded by Lebanon. Okay, Israel is surrounded by these four countries. All right, and this West Bank and Gaza Strip are part of Palestine. Then Golan Heights is also there. And apart from this, let's say to the west of it, as we discussed, Mediterranean Sea is there. To the right of it, there is Dead Sea, and here we have Sea of Galilee. It is also important for you to remember these areas. Okay. So now let us quickly go back to this article. Here Prime Minister of India, after meeting with the President of Israel, has talked about that, like, there should be a kind of durable solution for the Palestinian issue. Means the conflict that is happening between Israel and Palestine, it should be resolved as soon as possible, and the resolution should be long lasting, so that, like, this kind of incident does not emerge, right, again. So the Israeli president has talked about that Israel has right of self-defense, right? So it is using its right of self-defense now, but the thing is, like, it has done much more damage to Gaza Strip, to Palestinian people, than the initial attack that Hamas has done on them. Okay, so this is the thing. This article is an important article on that regard. With this, let us move to another topic. Okay, this topic is again important. It says disinformation can impair democratic discourse. Okay, it has been said by the Chief Justice of India. So now, if we talk about Article 19 of the Constitution of India, okay, if we talk about Article 19 of the Constitution of India, the Article 19 of the Constitution of India recognizes the freedom of speech and expression, and freedom of speech and expression is a fundamental right, that is given to the citizens of India. Since it is a fundamental right, this has been given so that citizens can be protected against the tyranny of the state. But what is happening? The freedom of speech and expression has now, let's say, assumed a new medium. People are expressing their freedom through social media. Which media? They are expressing their freedom through social media, right? Social media includes all those platforms, for example, Facebook, X, which was Twitter, then we have Instagram, right? And many other such platforms. But what happens in these social media? The disinformation is being spread, and disinformation is being spread by an organized group of people, and then there are huge number of people who support the disinformation. And in these disinformation campaign, the truth is somewhere, let's say, like, hidden, right? Truth is somewhere hidden. So the Chief Justice of India has highlighted this particular issue. Chief Justice of India has said disinformation has the power of impairing democratic discourse forever, pushing a marketplace of free ideas to the point of collapse under the immense weight of the fake stories. Okay, so fake stories are being shared by a group of organized people, and many a case these group of organized people are supported by one or other political party. This is what is being said in this article. Okay, so this is the thing. So with this, let us now move to another article. Now let us move to another article. This article says World Bank recalls paper on decline in toilet usage in India. Basically, from World Bank, they have so far released 3 research papers, and those 3 research papers have been taken down from their website. These research papers, I'm going to write the names of these research papers for you. Okay, so these research papers are mentioned in this article. Just a minute. One of the research paper is Progress on Sanitation in Rural India, Reconciling Diverse Evidence. Let us quickly understand. World Bank recalls research paper. Okay, World Bank recalls research paper. Now, so let us understand the name of these research papers. So the paper 1, its name is Progress on Sanitation in Rural India. Progress on sanitation in rural India. Okay, progress on sanitation in rural India. and then reconciling diverse evidence. Okay, reconciling diverse evidence. This is one of the research paper that they have taken down from the website. You can remember their name, maybe let's say you can use it somewhere. Second research paper says, what lies beneath an assessment of India's groundwater quality and monitoring systems. And third is lifting the lid, process and diversity of the Swachh Bharat mission. Okay, so I'm writing the third one first. It is lifting the lid. Okay, lifting the lid. So what is the name of this article? It says process and diversity of the Swachh Bharat mission. Process or progress. This is process and delivery. Process and delivery of Swachh Bharat mission. This was the second paper, and the third paper is what lies beneath. Okay, so these are the research papers that they had uploaded in their website. Okay, what lies beneath. An assessment of India's groundwater quality and monitoring system. An assessment of India's groundwater, an assessment of India's groundwater quality and monitoring system. Okay, so these are the three research papers that the World Bank has uploaded in their website, but they have taken it down. Okay, so this is the thing. In this article they have mentioned about the dates also, right? But like that's not important for our discussion. And lastly we have a topic. It says manufacturing PMI rebounds in November. PMI stands for Purchasing Managers Index. So this Standards and Poor's is an organization rating agency. Standards and Poor's Global India Manufacturing Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index. So it has rose to 56 from 55.5. Okay, so this index has gone up. So this article says that manufacturing PMI has remained above 50 for 29th consecutive month. Okay, this is the thing. Alright, so in this article basically they have discussed that the manufacturing sector in India is performing well, right? It is, let's say, like, you know, taking up pace. So the pace of manufacturing sector has gone up in India. Okay, that's all in this article they have discussed. Then at last we have US to impose visa ban soon on Israeli extremist settlers. Okay, so United States of America has taken a decision that it is going to ban, let's say, issuing visa to those people who are extremist, right? Extremist Israeli people. So in meeting with Netanyahu, Blinken says US will take action against a number of people. So this is the thing. So US is going to ban giving visa to the extremist people from Israel. That's what is taken. So it's just a new development in international relations. We have already discussed about the issue of Palestine, issue of Israel, and the stand of USA. We discussed initially. So United States of America is considered to be one of the strongest ally, right? One of the strongest ally to Israel. Ally means friend, okay, to Israel. But the thing is, there are many extremist elements in Israel, because of whom in Israel, let's say, like, you know, Israel is in continuous warfare with other countries. All right. So that will be all from my side for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.